I'm just quite perplexed before we get stuck in about the what's going on here with the effect that you're having on my dog.
Oh, well, I love Doug, and I think
you can barely see Doug.
It's
so
kind
of weird, very smoothly.
He's part of Nettie's milk tray outfit. And
it's just a belt, actually. It's not Doug.
That age is also a milk tray, but I am the milk tray man today.
Just so you're aware, everybody, before we actually started filming today, she swung in through the window like a real milk tray lady, which is very modern, isn't it, progressive, and offered me a hazel well, which I've accepted.
I'm like with the coffee cream.
No, Turkish delight, no, like that.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome.
Morning. Lovely to have another bit of light relief for us all. We've had some fantastic feedback, so to all of you out there who have been very encouraging, we're going to try and cover a few more topics. We're essentially doing this for our HR community because we do care. We understand that being an HR professional is becoming more and more difficult, and this is us trying to provide.
Is it more and more difficult, or is it actually just becoming slightly impossible?
Good point, well made. Yeah.
Based on my conversations I was having last night in an event.
So before, more about that later.
Yeah.
But wanted to just introduce ourselves first. Obviously got to introduce Doug first, who's having a little bit of a twitchy ear. He's only flesh and blood, and very nice to see him again on my lap.
Do you have this effect on hormone?
I wish. More of that later as well. Anyway, who are you?
I'm Jordan Barry-Bayliss. I'm an ex-FTSE 100 CPO and a people and culture specialist.
Okay. I might just have to do a...
Oh, but you struggle.
I struggle because I don't want to disturb Doug. A small ding. The dings are for when we make a gratuitous plug about our organisation. So we try not to do it too much, but we got to recognise
because we like the buzzer.
Yeah.
Kelly York, I'm the Chief Operations Officer at CAF.
Lovely, it's great to be back. So what we're going to talk about today is a friend of mine who I used to work with at Liberator understands that I'm quite a calm person the majority of the time, but when I do get cross, oh my goodness.
Oh, it's explosive sometimes, isn't it?
Really? So I haven't seen that.
You will one day, I'm sure.
But when what makes us cross, and I thought that's a great topic to start us today, because
and is this just generally, or is this are we talking about
cross
things that make us cross at work?
Try and do business.
Cross at work, yeah.
Cross at work.
There's a blurred line sometimes, isn't there? So yeah, okay.
Just if you care, but yeah, absolutely. So I thought we could talk. By popular request, it's what makes you cross. So who wants to go first? Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Yeah. So I think mine is all linked to communication. So communication in your own business, and also when you're working or servicing another business as a partnership.
Yeah.
And I think.
There we go. So you are talking. So for you, for example, that would be a relationship with a client.
Yeah, a relationship with a client where you're you're in a partnership with supplying to them. And I think that the communication piece all leads back to often you might miss a deadline, or there might be a delay on something you're trying to deliver. The thing that bothers me and frustrates me the most is when people don't keep other people in the loop and have that respect around how they kind of communicate what's going on, because no one minds if you're not going to quite meet something, but they do mind if they don't know why. And I'm seeing it more and more and more in business around people just ignoring things if it's not going to get done, and that as a leader of a business and people that work with leaders of business, it's not good enough. And I think that's one of my really strong things that I'm experiencing a lot at the moment.
And how do you engender that then to make sure that we as a business don't do that ourselves?
It's just driving the importance, isn't it, through your own teams and making sure they understand that everyone is waiting. There's a dependency on what they're doing to deliver something that's affecting someone else doing the next part of their own role as well. And I think getting them to understand how that all flows through, and actually they are a key part in all of it, is the bit that I think is the...
And do you? So, I'm interested to understand. Do you see communication as almost like a piece of how people communicate as part of their culture? Because I don't know about you, but I in the organisations that communicate really well, where it's an actual absolute prerequisite of leaders, for example, that's part of their culture. Where I see leaders or organisations communicating really badly, that's also part of the culture. And I think I completely agree with you. I think it's really interesting with communication, because communication, if in the absence of communication, people then make their own stories up. I think that's the first thing. So then you get all this mythology going on in a business, then your misinterpretation or misunderstanding. But also, you'd never really feel clear on where people are up to. And I think for teams to work, that absolute clarity and alignment on, I'm doing this, you're doing that, we're doing this together, the outcome is this, and how that all hangs together in the communication is really key. And I think
how you communicate is key, right? So I think there's a multi-channel approach to communication, right? And it's not just you send an email if you're not going to do something you're expected to do. There is a phone call piece. There's a maturity in how you should communicate, depending on the levels of importance of what you're trying to achieve as well.
And it's really, so when we go back to what you were talking about when you opened up, was there a specific example that you wanted to share where something's really not worked well for you? Because you said you've had a lot of it recently.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of emphasis around urgency for people, what people need from you at the moment. And you spend a lot of time really pushing to deliver that, and then you don't hear anything back, or you're expecting something in return, and then you just don't hear again. And I think, again, and it probably leads, which I'm sure you'll probably cover, around manners in business.
That leads me, right?
and actually probably...
The fact that she knows it.
It kind of all interlinks, doesn't it?
It absolutely is. And so for me, and I think I could make lots of excuses as to why manners is becoming less of a trendy thing to talk about, but why it's absolutely essential. How people communicate to you, how people respond to you in everyday life, and this is why I think it's not just business, but manners in business is so important. You can actually make somebody's day by actually just taking a bit more care over an email that you send, or a phone call that you make, and actually asking about
that phone call rather than sending an email.
Rather than seeing it another task on my list of things to do because I'm so busy, but recognising that actually you could make a very, very important difference to somebody's life by just spending a bit more time, and the care and the manners around that makes, society as well as the workplace a really gorgeous place to be.
And we are losing that. I mean, let's be really honest. And I completely align with you on the manners thing. I mean, for me, manners I see and observe, and one of the key things that I do a lot of with the clients that I work with around their impact.
Is that
You can if you want to. But also their profile and how they want to be perceived is, I think for me as a leader, if you're not really conscious on or interested in how does my behaviour, how is it received, how does it impact the individual and the recipient, and how can I moderate my behaviour to get a better result and ultimately drive engagement? Manners, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please turn up on time.
Yeah.
But also the thank you thing. I mean, have you seen people's faces when a CEO turns around and says to someone,
"Thank you,
thank you so much for what
and
you've
it's
done.
not a big task.
We really acknowledge what you've said." I was talking on LinkedIn the other day about the power. We talked about the questions point from our last episode.
Oh yeah.
But also the power of leaders asking great questions of their people as a kind of a token of, I've seen you. I acknowledge you. I want to kind of interact with you. That exchange of energy and that acknowledgement that you're here and I've seen you. Really important. And I think manners, and I do wonder as well, Nettie, is the manners thing for us because we're from? Is it part of our upbringing as working class Northerners? Where it was drummed into me as a child. My mum used to get so much feedback from other parents that they'd never had
how polite
such
you were.
Immaculately polite
taking
children.
your shoes off at the door. It was all.
And part of me wonders is that part of a class thing as well? I'm not sure, but I think lack of manners in an organisation is very disruptive, and I think it can be.
They do say manners make us woman.
I agree with you. I mean, I think I guess what the thing that makes me angry or cross, I love that word, I'm very cross with you.
Very
so cross
furious.
Very cross with you. I think for me it is kind of linked to that. I think, and maybe this is just about my own purpose of why I set out to be a senior leader, and I think the whole point of me wanting to be a senior leader was because I was genuinely committed and interested in making people's lives better.
Yeah.
The fact that ecosystems and the working environment had to work for the majority of people, not just as we are seeing at the moment, and we've talked about previously, for the most privileged few at the top of the organisation who ultimately become so privileged, and my point is on privilege, about...
I was going to say, this is your one.
Yeah, about I see some amazing leaders, and I have the privilege of working with some fantastic leaders who don't take advantage of their privilege, who make a point of stepping out of their privilege to connect and be human and acknowledge and talk to people. And I also see, and I've also seen a lot in my career, this absolute privilege where people think because they're so senior and well paid that it actually absolves them from any kind of social contract at all, or kind of certain behaviours.
Have you got a top tip for those people though? Because I'm sure we all experience lots of things as leaders.
Well,
how do you keep on pace?
I think if we look at, I think it's quite... where have you been, by the
He's
way?
just
He's
nipped
in and
out,
out, in and
just
out.
along.
He's gone to see some of his other fans to see what's going on. A bit rude when we've got a full captive audience. Just a bit of feedback for you on your manners.
Just, he probably led us on, didn't he?
I think it's... I would say... If you are attuned as a leader and you're reading the mood music of what's going on at the moment, are you coming to me now? Wow. And you've got your back to the audience. Manners is clearly a problem. The lack of connectivity, manners, human connection, lack of privilege is part of a dying breed of leadership. So, I think I made a point, part of the work I was doing recently, of washing it through a group of the younger generations, the Gen Zs and the Gen As. And I was like, okay, so what's your perspective on what I'm talking about? I was really interested because I thought there's no point in me just operating at, my generation and the boomers and blah, blah, blah. I wanted to genuinely see, have we missed anything in terms of what we're talking about? What was really interesting was part of their whole lack of connectivity with the older generations was very much around the fact that they don't do that they do exercise their privilege, that they are dismissive, that they use their status and power as a form of distancing themselves.
How disappointing.
Really disappointing.
It really is,
I found it quite fascinating to hear what did that mean to the other generations. And let's face it, if we are... as leaders, we have a responsibility and a duty we should be absolutely as a priority learning and being interested in how to connect with these generations and tailoring our style of leadership in order to bring them in, engage them, make them want to be part of our organisation. And I think that's it for me. I think it's that,
So 3 good things though. We've got comms, communication generally in business, manners, and leadership privilege.
Yeah.
I wonder if we get some audience participation when we release this video and see what actually makes them cross as well. Quite interesting, wouldn't it, to see? Because we talked about this. And...
Well, I'm going to just say one thank you actually right now.
You've got a feather.
Have I got a feather?
Your milk tray jumper.
There we go. My thank you is for not shouting at me when I managed to put white makeup all over your shoulder when we started filming.
And as Kelly rightly identified, Nettie is a lot shorter than Kelly. So
it definitely wasn't me.
So thank you.
I do insist, don't I? I do insist on a nice crisp white shirt that always seems to get covered in makeup.
Yeah, there we go.
So I look like I just literally rolled out of bed in today's...
Well, I think it's been very insightful. We'd love to hear what makes you cross. Thank you. Thanks to Doug.
I wonder what makes Doug cross. I wonder if we made Doug cross, and that's why to leave and come back with a fresh perspective on the environment.
Change the space.
That might be a top tip in business if somebody's being rude. Walk away, come back, regroup. Yeah, very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you to everyone.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you.
Bye. Bye.